Championships are only the beginning. Dynasty Road.
Okay, so let's start this. Hey, welcome back to Dynasty Road. I'm Jordo. He's EFO.
What's going on, man?
Hey, buddy.
How you doing?
So we're talking today about the QB situations in the NFL for this season coming up, and we each have some input to share on the topic. For you listening, be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Look up Dynasty Road on all those platforms. Follow us, share this video out, and help us to grow so we can keep dispensing this content. And we do appreciate it. So we have the draft coming up this spring. We've got teams that definitely need a quarterback. We have teams that have question marks regarding their quarterback situation. And then we have teams that are all set with their quarterbacks. So obviously we're not going to talk about the last group, but we are going to talk about the other two groups. So you have any opening remarks on the topic, EFO?
Yeah, because like you said, there's a good amount of teams that need a quarterback, whether they have a free agents or, in Houston's case, Deshaun Watson, not knowing what's going on with him, retirements with Brady and Roethlisberger. And in all honesty, there's only about 2 to 3 quarterbacks coming in this draft class that's even worth kind of drafting, that aren't going to be a project right off the bat.
I would say there's about 6. So I disagree with you there, but continue.
Well, I mean, okay. Yeah. So you say 6?
I say 6.
Okay. That are quarterback ready right now.
No, I wouldn't say they're quarterback ready, but they could land a starting job.
They could land a starting job. Yes. I will agree with you with that.
So
that's why I said, I'm only looking at a couple of guys who I actually think are quarterback ready, that there's only about 2 or 3 of them that I think are actually, if they get in there, are actually ready enough that if they give you a Luke Wilson? No.
Oh, you talking about the Jets?
Jets.
Josh Wilson?
Josh Wilson, yeah. If they give you something like him, that's actually a success. I think most are going to be like nils.
Well, but here for fantasy purposes, I understand what you're saying, but for fantasy purposes, you've got a lot of dynasty leagues that have 2 QBs, and there's one that we know of that.
I'm actually saying about with dynasty, if they can get a Wilson type production,
Zach Wilson,
yeah, yeah, I knew we would figure it out eventually.
I've been waking up at between 3:30 and 4 in the morning every morning.
Yes, I know. I see all your transactions.
It's just I don't know why
I'm awake at that time too, going to work. But and that's what I'm thinking. In terms of dynasty, there's only about, even in dynasty, I think there's only 3 guys that I would really even really look towards. And maybe a couple of guys like Mills who maybe surprise you.
Yeah. So let me bring up the screen and we can lay this all out. Okay. All right. So on the left here, I've got about 16 teams that need a quarterback. The ones in yellow, we agree on that absolutely need a quarterback. The other ones kind of have question marks. And then quarterbacks that are available, we have it broken down into the draft class, current backups who might be able to land a starting position somewhere, free agents this year, and then just miscellaneous guys. So before we get to the teams, let's see if we can eliminate any of these names on here, Efo. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Okay, so let's leave the draft class for now, but let's go to the current backups. Is Trubisky ever gonna find another starting job? Or has he become a lifetime backup now?
No, I think he could.
Okay.
I think he could find another, because he was the starting quarterback in Chicago.
Yeah. He did
It
actually
didn't really-
very well at the end of that season. He didn't do
Right,
well
like-
at the beginning of the 2020.
And I think he just kind of went to Buffalo for a little bit now, and I think he's going to get that chance this season.
Okay. So we'll put him in bold. Chad Henne.
No,
No. Okay. So let's
he's gonna be the rest of his career, however long it's going to be, is going to be a whatchamacallit,
a backup. Okay. And I'm just trying to pick, names that are somewhat good, got some measure of talent. Marcus
Right.
Mariota.
He might, just because they did use him occasionally in Las Vegas as a few plays here and there. Another team that they might be willing to go for it.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of who he could go to.
Well, you know what I'm thinking? Maybe he stays right where he is.
He could.
Because Derek Carr is an unrestricted free agent in 2023.
Right.
And he's due to make 19 million this year.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a great supporting cast. I don't think that team is really going anywhere in the next 3 years. So maybe they say, let's just give Mariota the reins while we rebuild around him, and then we draft our quarterback in 2025 or 2024.
Right. And what they could do is trade Carr to like the Saints or to, one of these teams that needs a quarterback that maybe don't have the draft capital to get one, that are picking in the 20s and, the high 20s, that they might not be able to get somebody that they might look at Carr as a better alternative.
Yeah. Okay. So Tyrod Taylor / Mills, he's kind of a 1A. It's a 1A, 1B situation. Do you think that Tyrod, let's see what his contract, do you happen to know what his contract?
He's a free agent this year.
He's a free agent this year.
He's a free agent this year.
All right. So let's put him over.
So I think he's done in Houston. I think he's done in Houston.
Do you think he's done, period?
No, I think some team might pick him up as a backup, but I think he's going to be a backup because he did handle himself pretty well as a backup, as somebody, but he really couldn't hold it for the whole season. And Mills did good enough.
Yeah.
He had a rough start when he did starting, but he did good enough towards the end of the year that it's like Houston might even be thinking that maybe we do have somebody we could develop. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to cross Tyrod off as he's not an eligible candidate for a starting job.
Starting, I don't think so. No.
Yeah. But Mills, I think we both agree he'll be given a shot in Houston.
Yeah.
All right. Taysom Hill / Winston, Jameis Winston.
Well, Jameis Winston is a free agent. Hill is not. So Hill might become the starter just out of default. And I think that's one of the reasons why, because even with the Saints, I think they might just go with Hill just for the simple fact that, yeah, they're minus 76 million with cap space. Minus 76 million. So even if they really wanted to re-sign somebody, they would have a hard time doing that. So Hill and Ian Book. Yeah, they're two starting quarterbacks for next season, basically, right now.
Okay. And then what about Winston? You think he'll be picked up as a starter somewhere?
I think he did good enough in the Saints at the beginning of the season before he got injured to sit there and say, yeah, maybe we could
Okay. Probably a 1 or 2 year
develop
deal.
him. Yeah.
All right. Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I mean, he's not Brady. I don't see how him at 40 years old pretty much could be a starter.
I think someone gives him a chance. I
As
mean,
a
is he going to
starter or a
is he,
backup?
yeah, is he going to be healthy?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Is he back? Because he got injured. Is he back enough to go and start? Where I could see Fitzpatrick is like behind Zach Wilson, behind Trevor Lawrence, or some of these rookie quarterbacks. Like you have him behind them as a buffer just in case. But I don't see him as a starter.
Okay. So let's eliminate him. Andy Dalton.
Poor Andy Dalton.
I don't see him being a starter anywhere.
I don't either. I don't even know if he is going to even get a backup job.
All right. So let's cross him off. Teddy Bridgewater.
He will get another chance.
I see him getting signed as a backup somewhere.
Yeah, I could see him getting signed as a backup or like brought in, like maybe brought into Detroit. You know, hey, you and Goff go at it.
Yes.
And the best man wins. Kind of like what they did in I know. But like you could see something like that maybe a little bit with Bridgewater or you know, or yeah, because or he goes to Carolina again.
Okay.
But
all right. What about Cam Newton?
I think he's done.
Done. I agree.
Which I mean is sad for a 32-year-old quarterback. But
well,
I just don't think.
Yeah,
I just don't think his legs have it anymore.
That was pitiful to watch him last year. Like it was just running plays. Okay, let's go on to the next column, which is Daniel. This is just miscellaneous. We don't not sure what their status is going to be, but Daniel Jones, New York Giants.
I mean, they just got a new head coach. If I'm that guy, I'll try to bring in Teddy Bridgewater or Jameis Winston or, you know, Tyrod Taylor and see if he can motivate Jones just to see what you have.
Well, here's the thing too. The Giants have the number 5th overall and the number 7th.
Yes.
You mean to tell me that they're not going to take a quarterback with one of those?
I think that is the splashier pick. Yeah, get another quarterback. But I think if you already don't think that Jones is your future and you're already looking to get a quarterback, one of the other issues is offensive line. So at least shore up Saquon Barkley. Get that offensive line taken care of.
Ugh. So really, wow.
Yeah. Get that defense taken care of. Get that offensive line taken care of. Bring a couple of free agents in that you have some faith in, and at least you'll have a decent running game. You've made a couple of good choices in wide receivers in the draft. So at least maybe then you can get something going if Jones isn't the guy, but at least you've shored up your offensive line and helped one of your most talented players on the team in Saquon. But that's my reasoning. I mean, I'm not also going after trying to save my job. or try to keep my job.
Yeah. I'm gonna say that they keep him, but I say that they take a quarterback with one of those two picks.
Okay. Now, what I would like to see if they do take a quarterback, Malik Willis,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because he needs another year, maybe like at least another year, almost like a what's his name from San Francisco there? Trey Lance. Yeah. Like a chance to just kind of learn the game, get more polished, and that would be a great fit. And you would be diving all over that in Dynasty in your rookie drafts. Malik Willis with Saquon Barkley in the Giants with those guys. Yeah, I'd go for that.
Sam Darnold.
I think he's actually might be done.
Really?
I mean, maybe because you're already at the Jets and you got traded out of there. You went to Carolinas, and you got injured, but you were very close to being benched. Like he started off almost MVP candidate.
Yeah.
First 5 games. He was like the league leader in rushing touchdowns. Like he was just blowing everything out of the water. And then he turned into Sam Darnold again.
I'm going to say yes on him.
Yes on him going as a backup or a
yeah,
starter?
I think they keep him in Carolina, but I think they draft a quarterback.
All right.
All right.
The problem with Carolina and them drafting a quarterback, because which pick do they have?
They got the number 6.
Yeah. So you're going to have a lot of quarterback controversy. But I understand the reasoning behind it too. That's why I think Malik Willis and the Giants works a little bit better, because people know that he's not ready yet.
Okay. And then for the draft, coming out of the draft, I have Pickett, Ritter, Howell, Willis, Corral, and Carson Strong.
Right.
So there's 6 right there. So let's move them over.
Yeah. And in my opinion, I think Pickett, Corral, and Willis will be the only 3 that will go in the first round.
All right.
That's just me.
All right. All right. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I'm not saying that Strong, Howell, and Ritter couldn't be starting quarterbacks, but I think they're going to be going in the second round.
So we have a demand of around, we could say 15 teams, 14 teams. We've got a supply of about 10.
Right.
So let's put Daniel Jones here. He stays in New York. Darnold stays in Carolina, but both teams are still going to draft a quarterback. We've got this. Let's bring up this. Okay, so you see that?
Yep.
All right. So here's your draft order for the year coming up. So
we can tune to the next couple of days. We will be having our own mock draft coming out shortly. So click and subscribe so you can get that right away.
Yes, indeed. All right. So here's let's do this. Do this. Okay. So we can say pretty confidently that Jacksonville is not going to draft a quarterback. Okay. All right. So here we have the actual draft order for the first round. So Jacksonville is out of the quarterback market. Detroit, you said they're going to take Pickett, or you'd like.
I think for a quarterback, I think they would take Pickett.
All right. Houston, they've got Mills, but do they take another quarterback in case he doesn't work out?
No, I not in this pick. I think they go with one of the edge rushers that are available.
Okay.
Either Hutchinson or Thibodeau. So I think they can keep with Mills.
So we're going to say that the Jets are out of the QB hunt.
Yep.
I think the Giants are going to, maybe they don't pick I think they don't pick a quarterback with the 5, but they do with the 7.
Okay.
All right. So, but you don't think
I can go with that. Yeah.
All right. All right. Because it wouldn't make sense, because anybody that, I mean, unless they had their heart set on somebody. But let's say that Carolina picks a quarterback.
Probably Corral. If they pick quarterback. If they go quarterback, I'd say probably Corral.
All right. And then Willis goes to the Giants.
I'll say Willis to the Giants.
All right. Okay, here's an interesting one. Atlanta at number 8.
And I just don't the quarterbacks that are left, Strong, Howell, Ritter, and there's even a couple others. I just don't see them being really that high first round picks.
Okay.
Like, even if it is the team need, I just don't see them. Like, even Willis, I think, is a little too high, but we're just going to sit there for purposes here. So I just don't. If they're going to go for a quarterback, it has to be free agency or a second round, third round kind of guy.
Yeah, I would say that if anything, they probably sign a free agent for a year or two as a backup.
Right.
So I could see maybe Winston going to Atlanta. But their quarterback need is not as strong as some of the other teams. So we'll say that they're out of it for the first round.
Yeah.
Okay, but now we come to Denver.
Right. And I mean, Bridgewater did good. He just got injured. And, you know, do they re-sign him and release who's the backup there? Not Love. It's not Jones.
Oh, Drew Lock.
Lock. And just release Lock, and then again, like, pick up a Trubisky or pick up a one of these other guys who are free agents, or they pick them up in the second round. Do they go for one of these other guys in the second round? I mean, the one thing with Denver, at least they have Bridgewater, and they were fairly comfortable with him. I mean, I forget what their record was, but I thought they almost made it into the playoffs.
But they didn't re-sign him. They didn't give him an extension.
Well, they didn't give him an extension, but I think he only signed a one-year deal, I think.
Yeah, but they could have signed him to another.
Right. And I mean, this is on the, like, do I really think that Detroit and Houston are gonna? I mean, Detroit's gonna pick Pickett? No, I think they're gonna go with one of the edge rushers. Just because Pickett's value is not that high. I think he'll be, in all honesty, I think Pickett in your rookie dynasty league will be the number one pick in your league, especially with your rookie draft. Like, I would be shocked if he's not the consensus. I mean, not in every draft, but I think he'll be the number one pick in the rookie drafts. But in terms of Detroit picking there, I mean, yeah, they need a quarterback. Like, let's say they're going to reach and go for Pickett, but I think Pickett and Corral are going to drop.
Yeah,
So
I
Denver
could actually, I could see them taking Ritter.
in the second round.
Well,
Maybe.
who do you think they would take in the first? What position?
With Detroit,
No, or did Denver?
Denver, I either probably defense or offensive lineman.
Hmm.
And you could even make a case for wide receiver because they might lose Sutton.
Let me ask you this. Out of the yellows that we have highlighted here,
Yep.
do you see any of the Strong, Howell, or Ritter going in the first round to any of these teams?
Maybe one of them to Tampa Bay now.
Mm,
Or if you want, you can
yeah.
unhighlight Detroit's first pick and put it as the 31st or 32nd pick. And then maybe I could see them taking either Strong or Ritter or Howell there as well. I don't think Pickett will make it to Tampa Bay, but that.
Well, especially with Pittsburgh there.
Right. That is the ideal situation right there for both. I mean, Pickett literally plays his home games in Heinz Field. Like, he knows what it's like to play there. He's comfortable with that stadium. That would be like the perfect handoff. Another 10 to 15 years, and he would definitely be your first round, pretty much first pick dynasty quarterback, especially in a super flex. And the ability to play three quarterbacks like our league. Yeah, obviously it's based off needs, but I think he would be almost like a no-brainer.
So, okay. So if Pickett's available at the 9 with Denver, the 11 with Washington, the 18th with New Orleans, do they pick him?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I think in this particular draft, what you actually might see is either Washington, like Detroit. Detroit could trade out.
Okay. Trade down.
Yeah.
Mm.
Trade down. Maybe Carolina goes up. Maybe Denver. That's not that big of a jump from 9 to 2. It's a lot harder for Pittsburgh to get up there.
Very
But I
interesting.
mean, Pickett, you'll have Pickett as, if he goes to Detroit, yeah, I think Pickett, I think Corral, they're going to be 1-3 in your rookie draft as a dynasty rookie draft.
Mm-hmm.
Willis, I could see him going like 5th or 6th in your dynasty rookie because he probably won't play this year, but his ceiling is actually higher than the other two guys.
Mm-hmm.
Because he has the skill set of my favorite guy in Arizona.
Kyler Murray.
Yes, Kyle Murray.
But I mean, here's my thing. With the emphasis of success being on having a franchise quarterback, if I'm a team that needs a quarterback, especially like a Washington, a Denver, a Pittsburgh, a Tampa Bay, you could even argue Detroit.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, those are the ones that, I mean,
they jump out.
Yeah. Aside from Detroit, they don't have anybody.
Right.
Anybody.
Yeah.
So if you've got a pick in the top 10, okay, maybe there isn't that ideal guy that is going to be the cookie cutter version of what is viewed as a franchise quarterback. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word.
Yep.
You still got to jump on it. you still got to
Yes
jump
and
on.
no. Yes and no. You think about like, all right, so let's say you're doing your fantasy draft, okay, and you're like in the third round, and you have 3 wide receivers. Let's just say you pick 3 wide receivers, and so you need a quarterback and a running back, but you look at it and for whatever reason, CeeDee Lamb is still there.
I'm talking about in the real NFL.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, are you gonna just go and take,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
some guy or you're gonna take the best player available?
Right, but that doesn't quite match up because the rules in your fantasy league may not favor a quarterback the way that the rules in the NFL favor a quarterback. You
Right.
need a quarterback to be successful. You cannot be successful in the NFL without a franchise quarterback because of
And
the
it's
way
true.
the
But
rules are
that's
set
why
up.
you will. Right. But you'll see, okay, Hutchinson, Thibodeau, and there's a safety, I forget his name. They're like the ranked 3 best guys in the draft. Like that, they're the top 3 guys. So every mock draft, you will not see those top 3 teams taking a quarterback, even if one is the Detroit Lions, who need a quarterback, and one is the Houston Texans, who need a quarterback, because they're going to go with the best player available and then try to figure out on the back end. That's why these guys still stink after so long sometimes.
Well, see, yeah, because I understand that, and that's a very solid strategy. But how often does one cornerback turn around a whole franchise?
Hardly ever.
Or a safety, a free safety or a strong safety.
Yep.
Or,
right.
I mean, sometimes you'll see it with a middle linebacker like a Brian Urlacher.
Right. Yeah.
Or
Ray Lewis, Brian Urlacher.
Yeah. Luke Kuechly.
Yeah.
But even with Luke Kuechly, like, it wasn't like he brought them to deep into the playoffs. But I don't know. It's just like,
because you have to think about it this way too. So the first pick gets slotted at a certain salary cap. Second pick slotted, so there's I don't know how far it goes down, but there's certain slots that each pick actually gets put into.
Right.
So you also have to look at it as a financial situation too. If I miss by taking this mediocre quarterback that, even though I know I need, I'm hurting myself more financially than if I'm just go and I get the sure thing, so to speak.
That's true.
Because, okay, so that one quarterback who's a, borderline guy, he could turn good, he could turn bad. I might have him for 2 or 3 years. Hutchinson and Thibodeau, I could have them for 15 years. It's, it's like I could go through 3 or 4 quarterbacks by the time they go through their whole entire career.
Yeah.
And you have to think about cap space. I mean, with some of these teams, it's like, like the Saints, it's like, yeah, you're picking number 18, but you're negative 76 million in cap space. Like, just to sign your rookies.
Yeah, can you bring that up?
So it's like Pittsburgh, you have 32 million in cap. Detroit, you have 23 million in cap. But the Saints, you don't have a head coach. You have the 18th pick, and you're negative 76 million.
Yeah, you're probably not drafting a QB.
And you have so much. I mean, in all honesty, you're maybe you can get Pickett if he falls to you, because just the value of where these quarterbacks are.
Mm,
But most likely you're probably going to get Wilson from Ohio State
okay.
because to replace Michael Thomas.
All
And
right.
then maybe in the second round you can pick Ritter,
Yep.
maybe, and then now you have that. But it's you're hurting, and you just took a rookie quarterback in Book who his one game was just not that great.
Let's scroll up to the top. I want to see what you got up there. All right.
So you have Pittsburgh here.
Yep. Go ahead.
So you have Mason Rudolph he's the only quarterback under contract going into this next season. They have the 20th pick. They might lose a couple of guys, Ebron, Ballage, Schuster. But I mean, if you're Pittsburgh, you are targeting Corral, Pickett, and Willis, and you're hoping either to make a trade up with the Giants, who have 2 picks. I don't think Pittsburgh can get up to the number 2 spot. I don't know if they have the draft capital, if they even want to spend the draft capital in order to do that, or if they feel like these guys are that great. But, if you're getting into that, what was it? What did Pittsburgh have? Not Pittsburgh, Philadelphia.
Oh, they had, they were,
Let's see.
they had the 15th, the 16th, and the 19th.
Okay. So it's like, those quarterbacks are not going to make it past Denver. They're probably not going to make it past the Panthers. So you're already losing 2 there.
Well, you wouldn't think they'd make it past Washington at 11.
Right. And so then that's what I was going to say. Then you have Washington. So in order for them to even get a chance at one of these 3 quarterbacks, they're going to try to have to work a deal with the Jets. Because you're not going to get a deal with the Broncos because they need a quarterback. Falcons, you might be able to, or the Giants, pick 7 because they have 2. But those are the 2 guys you're going to have to try to leapfrog up to if you're Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Or you just go with Mason Rudolph for this bridge year. You take a guy in the second round. You shore up your offensive line because you have a ridiculously good running back and a decent tight end and decent wide receivers. So if you shore up your offensive line, maybe you pick up a quarterback. I mean, not a quarterback, a running back. A wide receiver.
Right. I think they would have to, if I was in their position, I'd see how the draft goes up to the number 6 with Carolina. And then you get to New York's 2nd pick at 7. And then you've got Atlanta at 8, and you've got the Jets at 10. Denver's not going to give up their pick at 9.
Right.
So you got three teams that you could possibly make a deal with after the number 6 pick. But question I had for you about Pittsburgh is, let's say that they were able to land Pickett.
Okay.
And he's not, is he really like, is anyone comparing him to last year's draft class with Trevor Lawrence?
No, with Pickett, they're comparing him to Joe Burrow, actually.
All right. And they drafted Najee Harris last year as a running back. Who is going to make more of an impact on their team and their offense in the years to come? Would it be Pickett or would it be Najee Harris?
If we already saw what Najee Harris did, but so Pickett could make a bigger splash. He can make a bigger impact.
I think
And
he
so
will.
I just pulled up a mock draft from CBS mock draft, because
Mhm.
they have 3 guys that do it,
Yeah.
and 2 of the guys actually have the Pittsburgh Steelers picking Pickett
Okay.
with the 20th pick, that they actually think Pickett's going to make it all the way down.
Okay. All right. Let's go on to Detroit.
So they have 2 first-round picks, wherever the Rams finish, and then that number 2 pick overall.
So if I was them, because they're at 32 or 31,
31.
I probably do not draft a quarterback with the number 2. Get my defensive player. Because if they got another top 3 defensive player, or their offensive line.
Yeah.
But if they got another top 3 defensive player, kept Goff around, and then if one of these guys drops to 32, which they probably will, I mean, their defense was not bad
No.
last year. Their defense was probably one of their top strengths.
With in the mock draft, they all have them taking one of the edge rushers.
Mm-hmm.
One of the 2.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's Thibodeau, sometimes it's Hutchinson.
Okay.
So, and I think that's probably the way they're going to go. My personal feeling is they'll only go that way because I'm hoping that Jacksonville actually takes an offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get the edge rushers. But even in the whatchamacallit, the mock draft, the 2nd round pick, they still have them going defense.
Okay.
Interesting.
And I mean, with St. Brown and Hawkinson, you've got 2 good targets, and then
and Swift he catches out of the backfield, so it's like
that's what I was going to say. And Swift.
So I mean, I don't necessarily agree with the number either 31 or 32 pick. Their 2nd first round pick taking another defensive person. I think they should take something in offensive, whether it's an offensive lineman, a wide receiver, or even another running back.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a good chance that Detroit gets a quarterback sometime in the first round.
They could, yeah. Or they could just go with Goff again for one more season.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But even if they took the 30 QB at the 31st, 32nd, it'd give him a year under his belt.
Right.
Yeah. All right, let's go on.
The Saints are such a mess. Sean Payton is kind of like the guy that, leaves before the tab comes and is like, okay, you guys are stuck with the bill. See you later. Because it's like they don't have a wide receiver. Well, you don't know what Thomas is going to do when he comes back. They don't have a quarterback. I guess Hill and Book.
Yeah.
They don't have a great draft pick, number 18. I mean, it's like you're right in the middle.
Yeah.
But you go with these guys again, the mock draft, which I mean, they're just mock drafts. I honestly don't think they're going to make it this far, but they do have them picking either Malik Willis or Matt Corral.
Okay.
I mean, that'd be great. I think if you're the Saints and you get either one of those guys at that point, I'm like, you're ecstatic.
Yep.
I just don't see it happening. But I mean, even with the cap space, though, they're going to have to make they're not going to be a good team next year.
Yeah.
Because they're just going to have to make too many wholesale. That's why taking a Malik Willis, if he's actually there, almost kind of makes sense because it's like, hey, look, we know you need another year, but at the same time, we know we're not going to be good this year either.
Yeah.
They'll still have Kamara, hopefully.
Okay. Tampa Bay.
Yeah. So you don't have a quarterback. Tom Brady retired. You have Kyle Trask is the only quarterback under contract.
Oh,
He was their second round pick last year.
Right.
They have the 27th pick this year. So you're not getting a quarterback that great with that pick. And you're losing, you have the possibility of losing Godwin, Gronkowski, OJ Howard, Fournette, Jones, as well as a whole bunch of defensive players. So, you only have a $7 million cap space. So you're going to be losing guys. And you're not going to be able to bring in a lot of guys in either. So you're going to, Evans, unfortunately, his Dynasty stock status is probably going to take a hit.
Everyone.
Like
Gronk,
he's
Fournette.
Well, Gronk, Fournette, they're all free agents. So
okay.
Who knows where they go? But Evans is still there. And he's going to be the only guy, really. Because, you have Gronk and OJ Howard. So who's the tight end? Brayton? Cameron Brate. Yeah. So are they going to double team him? No, they're going to. So, and who's going to be throwing the ball to Evans? Unfortunately, Evans, I think his dynasty, his fantasy value is going to take a big hit.
Well, the other thing is on the defensive side of the ball, I think they had some big contracts. Are those players? We don't even have that listed, but if the defense isn't going to be very good, if those players sign like a 1-year deal or their contracts are expiring, the offense isn't going to be on the field very much.
Right.
You're going to see Tampa Bay go back to what they were before Brady.
Yeah, basically. You're going to see a hard time. So let's see. Shaquille Barrett, base salary $16 million. His cap hit is $19 million.
He's still under contract.
Yep. Levante David, his is $14 million. Vita Vey, his is $11 million. Devin White, $9 million. Ndamukong Suh, he's a free agent. Rob Gronkowski's a free agent. Brady helped him out because he had a cap hit of $20 million. So I don't know what that does with him retiring.
Yeah.
And Mike Evans has a cap hit of $20 million as well. So you could see some wholesale changes with this team.
Okay, let's go on to Green Bay.
So you're going to have Aaron Rodgers. We don't know if he's going to retire, if he wants out of there, if he'll ask for a trade. But again, these guys are kind of like the same thing with the Saints. Negative $46 million in cap space. They are negative. They have 5 wide receiver free agents, led by, of course, Davante Adams, their best wide receiver. Love made 1 start last season. Was it last season? He did horrible. So he doesn't look like it. They have a decent running game. But, again, it's like if Davante Adams doesn't resign, if Rodgers doesn't resign, your dynasty look, your fantasy look for even the running game on this team is not that great. It's like you're looking at a team that, with negative 46 million, unless they can do some like re-sign guys and move cap around, they're going to be. I think that's why they're talking about Aaron Rodgers leaving or retiring. It's like, he sees he can't get anywhere with this.
And they've got the 28th pick.
The 28th pick. So it's not like they're going to get the savior.
No.
At least at quarterback. I mean, they're going to get a decent player, probably, especially if they do their homework, but.
Okay. And I think we talked about Houston, right? We talked about Houston. Yep.
And then with Russell, he doesn't have a
Seattle
is like, I guess there's a lot of talk because if they trade him or release him after June 1st, the team saves $24 million. If they trade him before or after, they actually get hit with a $26 million. There's really no wide receivers, free agents. They have no first round pick, though. Their defense has a bunch of free agents, like their 2 top corners and a safety is like their free agents. And they only have 2 running backs under Carson, which we've talked about his injury and how bad that thing is. And then DJ Dallas. It's like, even if I think with them, it's like they need to beef up that offensive line, because if not, Russell is going to have another. I mean, he had a decent beginning of the year, but I think just as the year went on, he got injured and he got beat up and no running game. He couldn't get that's going to hurt any kind of dynasty value for Metcalf at all.
Well, that's the thing. So let's take this one down the screen. And I want to go back to, where is it?
I mean, there's a lot of these teams that actually have an opportunity to create decent fantasy players just because of how bad they are, and like guys can step up. But some of these teams, they're just hurting. Like Pittsburgh, I mean, if they get the right, Mason Rudolph could be, your quarterback, a quarterback 2 or 3 if he stays in there and plays half decent. Especially with the, super flex, like he might be someone you stream or play every week, depending on how things go.
So I just want to go back to the screen. So if you have auxiliary players such as wide receivers, running backs, or tight ends, you've got to look at some of these team situations. And for me, I mean, I'm going to stay away from the Giants receivers. I already don't like Saquon Barkley, so there's no issue there. No. But if we just do this, Carolina still seems like it's going to be a mess.
Although with Carolina, though, I mean, even when they had
McCaffrey.
No, was it right?
Walker.
I mean, their wide receivers still put up some decent numbers.
You just don't trust it. I mean,
yeah. I mean, maybe Chuba Hubbard, Hubba Bubble. Because McCaffrey's injured, he might be like a sneaky like running back 3 or 4, that you might be able to start on a pretty consistent basis.
But I mean, you touched on it in Tampa Bay with Mike Evans. I'm also thinking New Orleans. I'm not touching anyone from, including Kamara. I'm not touching anyone from New Orleans.
Well, that Kamara again, like Kamara and Saquon, those might be the only guys that you actually might want to touch, just because that you might, like, you know, if you had to, gun to your head, you have to take someone from the Saints. We don't care who, but you have to take someone from the Saints.
I'd probably
someone from the Giants.
Taysom Hill over Kamara.
Okay, well, so there you go. All right. I agree with that one.
You do?
I do.
Okay. I mean, Houston, there's a lot of teams that I don't know.
It's like Houston needs so much too. I mean, like they need a wide receiver. I mean, Cooks is good, but he's the only one. I mean, what, your number one wide receiver in Houston? I mean, running back in Houston is Rex Burkhead.
Yeah, I'm concerned about McLaurin in Washington.
Yep.
Although they do have Antonio Gibson to balance that off, but man, McLaurin, dude, as I'm looking through this, it's like.
The Commanders, the Washington Commanders now?
Is that what they are?
That's what they are now.
Okay.
Washington Commanders.
Man, there's a lot. I mean, I guess that's another topic for another day, but. All right. I'm wiped out on this subject. Do you have anything else to wrap this up with? Any concluding thoughts, parting shots?
It's amazing when you start breaking it down how much really goes into a decent fantasy team, you know, because there's so much little things that could happen. And granted, the players can, some players can rise above that. And that's why waiver wire guys like just pop up out of the middle of nowhere. But kind of looking at these kind of things and understanding, okay, the Camaras and the Taysom Hills and the Houston, they might not have guys you want to touch, but there will be someone in there who does produce. They will have someone. It might not be who you think it is, but they will have someone. And that's why the waiver wire and watching, you know, videos like us and, you know, watching us and what we're going to try to break down and help you to see where you can kind of win your league based off of those small little who's going to produce and why they're going to produce that you might not ever thought of.
All right. So that is our discussion on some of the QB situations. Of course, the draft hasn't happened yet, so we don't know exactly what is going to be going on with these teams, but we thought we'd get an early jump on it. And EFO, you provided some good insights with your stuff.
Thank you. It's always fun to talk about this stuff. It's always fun.
Yeah. So again, next week we're going to do a mock rookie draft. We're just going to do one round of a 12-team fantasy league. EFO is going to have his picks for who I don't know
who I think is gonna get picked. It's who I think is gonna get picked. Like how I think the draft is gonna shake up. We'll say that.
I'm going to do mine as to who I actually would pick.
All right.
Okay. So we'll see if my personal picks match up with what EFO thinks the general consensus will be. I'm kind of disappointed because I actually was wishing you would do what you would actually do, because that is always more interesting to me, to see how the inner workings of your.
All right. I'll do it the way that I would do it.
I see. Yeah. Because I don't really care how everyone else would do it. I care about how you would do it.
All right.
Okay.
I will do it how I would do it.
Yes, sir.
Very interesting.
Good. Yes. That's what I want. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. We will see you next week.
See ya. Have a good one.